And yep. Awesome. We are live and recording just in case our live drops out, as we always do. So, yeah, so we're streaming live into the Successful Bookkeeper Facebook group and got lots of people on the call today. So feel free to share your video so that we can see your face, where you are at the moment. Great to see faces rather than empty tiles. So really appreciate it. Hi, Emily. Good to see you on the call. Hi, Jennifer. Lovely to see some faces. Awesome. Yeah, and so today we're going to be talking about client expectations and how to have those conversations. And of course, I'm joined with Sharon Francisco today. Thanks for joining us today, Sharon.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Katrina. I love this subject that we're going to talk about. So, yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, and we've spoken about this previously as well, and I think we actually did a webinar with Practicing Mission a little while ago around the journey of client expectations and how to onboard them and those type of things. So that was a really good. We might have the link and pop it into the in the comments. So Lou, if you want to organise a link to that webinar, I'm sure we can find a copy of it somewhere. Pop it in here for anybody to look through that as well. That was an awesome. Talking about the 100-day journey and how to onboard and all of those things. So love to get some feedback and some engagement from those on the Zoom and also in Facebook land. Feel free to add any comments, any questions into the live stream as well. So we'll be monitoring that so we can have a look and help you through the journey of onboarding clients, conversations with clients, and making sure that we're really setting some clear expectations right from the start. So I'd be curious to hear, and please post any questions you've got in the Zoom chat as well. Come off mute when you want to have a conversation. But curious to hear from those on the call today and in Facebook of, you know, where are you at with talking to your clients about expectations? Like, have you had instances where the line's been a bit blurry and not quite sure, you know, where, you know, what the expectations are, or that they have taken advantage of you? I know for myself, you know, or we hear from bookkeepers as well, that clients are often ringing us late at night, expecting work to be done, you know, expecting us to jump, to react straight away, to do work on weekends, you know, all of these expectations, answering your phone straight away. Does anybody have that? If you want to share, either, you know, put up your hand if you agree that you have got clients that are struggling, you know, pushing you to your limits around this. Some type of reaction on your image would be awesome. Is that happening to you, Jennifer? No? No. Did you want to come off mute and have a chat?
I'm on mute, sorry. I always do that.
Right.
No, I'm pretty new to the industry. I just finished my cert for in July, and I've been working for an accounting firm remotely in Melbourne, and I don't have that experience because I just turn off.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I'm not working, I'm not on.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have any clients at the moment?
Yeah, I do. I'm starting with a new accounting firm on Monday. So I'll be working for 2 different accounting firms, one here in Brisbane, one in Melbourne. But because so far I've been working remotely, I've had the luxury of being able to leave everything in my office and walk away. So.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Good. So yeah, so we haven't had that one-on-one type of experience just yet. So it'd be good conversation to, you know, learn about from here. Sharon Law.
Good clarification.
We've got 2 Sharons on the call. Sharon, have you had any examples of when clients are taking advantage of you and your expectations haven't been clear?
I've had to in the past, so I think I've had to make I've had to say to them, okay, I'm working on something else right now. I'll get to that tomorrow morning, or I'm going to schedule that in for this week, because I've got a couple of clients that I've been working with for, 4 years. And when I was first working with them, I was, I'll be available anytime. But now I've got more clients, I've got more things that I'm doing. And so I've had to say, look, and I can't remember who it was that said last week where they schedule in to do work for that person and they know that that's when they're doing work. And so I've started to do that. I'm like, okay, well, your work, I'm going to be working on your books on Thursdays. So any questions that you've got, unless it's really urgent, just, we'll keep it for Thursdays. So I've started to do that.
Yeah, that's great. You get to know your clients and how far, that they're going to, have those expectations. I know I had a client that was constantly ringing me because she didn't try and find the answer herself around, inside the accounting software. She didn't do any troubleshooting. She just got on the phone and rang me straight away. So you get to know that, we've answered this before, you'll be able to find it easily. So, often I would then not be able to answer her phone call straight away, and I'd ring her back like at the end of the day or the next day, and she said, oh no, I found it, it's okay. So it's understanding the clients, their questions, how they respond to issues that they have, whether they just knee-jerk reaction, get on the phone straight away to you. And what they're setting those expectations up the front as well. Sharon, you've got Sharon Francisco. You've got a lot to say around setting client expectations, because I know with you having your bookkeeping business, you are onboarding a lot of new clients. So how did you deal with setting expectations right from the start?
Yeah, look, I guess number one, I just followed everything from the pure bookkeeping system as far as signing up clients, so all the check sheets, and I would definitely gather evidence around the things that were letting me down. So if there was something that was happening, like, the bookkeepers were getting contacted out of turn or, too much or whatever, I go, okay, so that's like a little tap for me to make sure I include that in the onboarding checklist as something to discuss with a new client. But I love the expression, life's a mirror, and that everything that's happening to us is coming back to us. So if these things are happening and we feel like we're getting overwhelmed by our clients doing the things that we don't want done, it's generally what we're throwing out. It's generally what we're not doing in that beginning onboarding stage that we need to be able to set clear expectations. So it's really just in that initial meeting where that's the good time to shine, like especially with a new client. Like this is the one moment. It's like when it's like when you raise kids. If you set the expectations, or you got a puppy, you set the expectations right at the beginning and it'll set you up for a blissful life. Whereas if you go, what's all good, jump in the bed, get on the couch, it's all wonderful, it's really hard to break those habits down the track, right? So I think the way that we can determine whether we're happy or not with the way that our clients communicate with us is to have a look at what we're saying and right at the beginning, and know that we've got an opportunity right then to take notes to, right, the next time I sign somebody up, I'm going to make sure I include all this sort of information. The other thing that I think is really important is understanding people's different personalities. And you know that I love DISC because it's so simple and it just defines us in DISC. We know pretty quickly what sort of personalities people are. I can pretty much pick up straight away with people where they fit with that. It doesn't have to be DISC, it can be Myers-Briggs. There's a whole bunch of different personality profilings out there. And it's not to box people, but it's just to understand how people operate. So if you're dealing with somebody like me, I'm a high I. So I love like having a chat and talking. And if somebody was signing me up for bookkeeping services, you'd have to be very detailed and go through with me and look me in the eye and make sure that I understood everything, because I'm like, where's the copy? Let's have fun. and I don't really like detail too much. And bookkeepers by default love detail. So it's kind of obvious for bookkeepers that, you know, of course, you know, these are the steps. This is what we do. But if you're dealing with somebody like me or a high D, they're a dominant personality. They're like, get to the point. How much is it going to be? Get that over and done with and go and do your work. So they're not really that sit around kind of detail-y sort of person either. Whereas bookkeepers come from a place of wanting, you know, wanting detail and wanting people to understand detail. And you know what, I've said it, they should know that. But if you say something to me, quite often I've got to try really hard to go, yeah, I get it. I have to make myself understand the steps. And it's just because I've been around you guys for so long, I've become better at that. But ordinarily, if you were to deal with a client like me, you could sit there until you're blue in the face and tell them how you operate. And unless you get them to go through bullet by bullet by bullet point and get them to sign that little paper and say, hey, do you understand that, you know, we'll be working on your file every second Tuesday. And in between that, unless it's an urgent call, we don't need to hear from you in between that. So you've got to be very specific with people like me. So I think using a personality profiling is really helpful when it comes to managing clients and getting your outcomes from clients and managing expectations.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And it's something that we don't think about because we just have the engagement letter and we just want it signed off and, you know, but it's, as you say, understanding the person that you're dealing with and going through line by line. And that's something that you used to do. And, you know, we used to do with the pure bookkeeping engagement letter is go line by line. These are our expectations. And this is what we expect from you. So it's really clear in the engagement letter right from the start that we want our paperwork on time. And this is the time that we want it. We want it in this certain way. We want you to understand these compliance requirements. We want you to understand the legislation. You have to keep these dockets. You have to, you know, abide by these compliance laws. And they've got to understand that and accept that. And then, you know, also bring in, these are our office hours, or this is the day that we're going to work on your business. And then you also go through expectations that the client can have for you. So it's a two-way street. So making sure that we will work on your figures and lodge it by this time. We will guarantee that they are accurate. We will guarantee that they are compliant. You know, we won't ever lodge it late, that, you know, and except in instances where they're going to not provide us with the paperwork on time. So it's, you know, right from that start of the engagement letter is a good place to start.
Yeah,
I guess if you've already got your engagement letter, you know, sorted, signed, and you've got existing clients, but they're still creeping through with, you know, pushing the limits. They're, you know, not understanding their expectations. I guess, you know, you could redo the engagement letter, as, you know, we often like to say, redo them every year or update them or review them every year, because then you've got an opportunity to upgrade them into another service by reviewing it every year. But if they're, you know, if you're in between years of, you know, engagement letters, then what would you, Sharon, have you got any recommendations around how to have that conversation with the client and keeping them on track?
Yeah, I think, well, initially having the conversation, well, what I used to do is say, look, you know, I'll probably come out and touch base every quarter with you just to check in to see if everything's going all right, you're happy with the bookkeeper and everything's ticking along well. So I kind of frame that in their thinking right at the beginning. But if you haven't done that and you've got clients that have been naughty, I would definitely, there's a lot around getting face-to-face. And I know in this COVID time, but even back when I was with Tanya, there was a lot of the times when I'd set up on Zoom, and people don't tend to, back then didn't tend to like to be on Zoom, but if you can eyeball somebody and chat with them about what's going on, better still get out face-to-face and take a coffee, book a meeting. Helen, you're great at doing this. Getting face-to-face and getting down and dirty with people, like, hey, how's things been going? And you don't have to hit them between the eyes straight away with the stuff that is a bit tricky for you, but certainly having that meeting and having a chat and seeing if everything's tracking along all right, generally like, yeah, they're good. People are a lot more reasonable face-to-face, but I think we fear sometimes going face-to-face if there's a tricky conversation, because it's harder to have a conversation about pulling them back into line face to face. It's a lot easier by email. But I tell you, by email, it's very impersonal and probably a lot less likely to get your outcomes. So what would you say with that, Helen? I know you love getting face to face with your clients to get your outcomes.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm doing less. Email is really just for, you know, we need this, we need that kind of thing, and sending, you know, that kind of. I've really kept the phone calls also are more so to set up the face-to-face, but there are clients that I feel, I have one at the moment that I just want to get in front of him. I want to have that face-to-face, and because I know seeing him, I'll understand a lot more. His body language, how he's moving, that kind of thing. And I feel it is personal. I'm moving away from emails a lot more with the work that I do with clients. And that initial meeting where I did struggle in COVID is because we couldn't have those meetings and we had to have Zoom meetings, and it still didn't feel the same. Yeah. I got used to them, yes, but I wouldn't say that I like them. So it's, for me, I am getting in front of the client. I know a lot of people run a virtual bookkeeping business and they don't meet clients, and that's fine. I just find there's so much more revealed from the client when you're face to face that they don't even reveal on the phone. So yeah, definitely that's probably something that I do encourage and keep to, and just touch base with people. But I find the honesty is a lot more apparent if you're there in front of them. They can't hide. They can't shuffle. They can't sort of, you know, you can see everything that's going on. And sometimes they're talking, I just say, hang on, stop. Why did you do that? Why did you just look that way? You know, like I'll just pick up on something and I'll say, there's something deeper here that you're not telling me. You know, you need to tell me. And that's when it all comes out. So it's, yeah, I guess it's something that I prefer. And, you know, client expectations, I do in that initial meeting, as you said, Sharon, that's the time to set it up. And I'm not as good with staff doing this, but I'm getting there. But with clients, over the years, I draw the line. Like it's, you know, I ask them what they require from us, and they always just say bookkeeping. And I'll say to them, this is what we won't do. And then I go through the list of all the, don't call us after this time, don't expect phone calls, don't do this. You know, we need paperwork, all that kind of stuff. And so for me, it's the expectations are what we set at that meeting. It's not what the client, if a client is asking something completely that we can't deliver or we don't want to deliver, we'll just say no. We'll make it clear in that first meeting, because I think the trap, and I used to do it too, falling into when you're starting out and you get clients and you're going to do everything. And if they turn and say, I work 8 to 10 on my book, so that's when I need you at night. You say, yeah, I'll be there. Because you're like, I want this client. I want to do this. I'm available all weekends, and, you know, because you work during the day, and so call me at night, call me weekends. And it's just a matter of now, no, that's not going to work for us. You know, it's not going to work. So we tell clients, you'll get monthly reports by this date. If you delay us, your reports will be delayed more than 7 days, because it's not something we can just jump on and do within a matter of, you know, when you send things through. Email requests, you know, phone calls. There's a time limit that we will get back to them with phone calls. It's not going to be, you know, they've just called, it's urgent to them, not necessarily to us. So it doesn't get in the, you know, forefront of our list kind of thing. So I think it's all the expectations you set in that initial meeting and make it clear to them. And I take notes of that, and then what I do is get back to the office, and that's when I will put it in an email, you know, tell them how nice it was to meet them and list all the expectations that we spoke about and what we will and won't do. Because then if they come back to you or things are not going right down the track, I pull that email out and I remind them, this is what we decided, and it's not really working. So
yeah, and I think and I think if we ever get to the stage where, like, and that's why I love your approach, Helen, because it's so personal, and that's definitely what I and Katrina used to do with, like, the clients. I think if we ever get to the stage where we're tempted at all to say, it's in the agreement or it's what we said at the beginning. I know for me, that just puts my hackles up. If somebody says it's in the, like, who reads the agreement, right? Like, no one reads the agreement.
Our agreement has more the compliance, you know, the things that we must do, the things you must do. It's all about, you know, you don't provide receipts, you must keep them for your records. It's more the, you know, the heavy terms and conditions, but it's those little things they sneak in outside of your agreement and scope, and they're the things that you learn along the way and think, oh, should I add this in the agreement? You don't want to put there, you know, we're going to return your phone calls in 48 hours or whatever. I don't go to that detail in the agreement. It's more, yes, we have cyber security, yes, we'll do this. Your promise to us is that you will do this. But yeah, it's all those little extra things that I feel are the things that get to you as you get to know a client, you know.
That's it.
So
And
they're the things that we mention at the start.
Yeah, and I think that's the key as you get to know the client, because that's what I was going to say. If you're tempted to go, oh, it's in the agreement or this is what we spoke about, that's the trigger to go book the appointment, get face to face. And then there's, as you said, you can pick up body language, you can pick up all that kind of stuff, and you can say things like, you know, it's tricky when we don't get those, you know, the paperwork in time, and that's, we need to get that by this particular date, rather than say, hey, this is what you signed. It's having that warm conversation around making it work for both of you to be able to get your outcomes. And you'll find if it's that kind of connection, and you've already signed up like an A-class client, you know that they're going to want to work with you anyway to get that outcome. So yeah, for sure, I think that's a clever way to put it.
I think also once we've set this type of structure up or expectation and relationship with our client, it helps us build that, you know, that they start to appreciate you more, or they will appreciate you more, and they will pay you on time. You'll start, you know, increasing, you know, we've talked about on this, the client relationship matrix, Sharon, at the workshop, where you've got the you know, we're improving the relationship we have. So we're moving the scale from feeling like an employee and just somebody that they're going to treat the way that they want to treat, and we move it up the scale to become more of a partner in their business, so that they're valuing the relationship. So you know, the expectations you're setting are building that that firmer connection with them, that they don't want to be late. They don't want to ring you at the wrong time. They start to respect you as their partner in their business, or, you know, advisor. So, you know, it probably, you know, we think, well, client expectations, it's really good to have that they're not ringing us at midnight, and, you know, that they're not doing things that we don't want them to do. But it's unconsciously, it's building that connection with them, to that relationship with them, so that they are trusting you more. So they really respect our relationship, our business relationship. So now, you know, you've got the ability then to share more with them, or add more value to your services. So it's because they trust you. They, you know, they respect you, they trust you, they want to work with you, no matter what you charge them, you know, within reason. They're willing to, as you said before, Sharon, they want to work with you. They know what the outcome's going to be. They want to work with you. They're okay with some price rises and some, you know, extra additional services. They want to continue that relationship. They want to get more from that relationship because they know you so well. So yes, I do want, you know, now I want management reports. Now I want you inside my figures telling me what to do, holding my hand. So you're moving yourself up that client matrix vertical line is what you're doing. So it's a good response. It's a good result.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing that I don't know if Helen is even conscious that you do this with your clients, because you've got such a really cool relationship with your clients, is that I think the power of storytelling is really important when it comes to working with clients. And I think you do that really well, Helen, where you're able to bring to life the relationship from telling stories about other clients and the way that you're operating, and the stories about your bookkeepers. So you kind of bring the example to life through a story. And they say that 80% of the reasons people buy is emotional and 20% is logical. And if we think about DISC as a personality profiling, most bookkeepers and accountants are C, so compliance, so detailed oriented, so logical, right? So we think if we come from a logical point of view, so if I feel like I tell you something in my sort of high I sort of way, I feel like you'll take that and understand it. Whereas if I'm communicating with high Cs, I need to communicate in a logical point-based way. So this is the details, and then I'll send it to you in an email afterwards, so you can sit and you can have a think about it for 24 hours, because I'm the kind of person, yep, I'll buy straight away. That's fantastic. If you tell me to do that, yep, that sounds great. I'll forget it in 24 hours, but I'll buy on the spot. For bookkeepers and accountants, you need time to have a think about things, and it's got to be logical. So you'll still make decisions based on emotional, but you'll tell yourself it's on a logical basis. So my point was, what was my point? Oh, storytelling. So storytelling is a really good way to help. And I think, I don't know, Helen, now I'm throwing you in the spot again, but I really feel like you do this really, really well, because we remember stories, not necessarily paragraph 3 and this is what we've signed in that agreement kind of thing. We remember stories, and you kind of pull that to life really beautifully. If you'd like to speak into that, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I have no idea how I do that. Is it because I write stories, or because I'm used to listening to people? I don't know. I just like to, I just feel I understand a client better when I take the business away and get to them. I get to their personal, I get to their, you know, so I've always done that. I think that's just hitting that emotional point with them, because I don't want them to think that I'm only interested in their money or their business, and there's no other connection there at all. I think a good example of that yesterday, one of my clients, he lives alone, and mid-30s, I don't know, he lost his dog. And dog passed, and you know, to most people who aren't dog lovers, that's okay, get another dog kind of thing. So I drove 45 minutes, bought him a coffee, a croissant, and took him breakfast. And I hadn't seen him for a few weeks, and it was like, oh, what's this? And I said, just checking in to see if you're okay. And I didn't talk about the dog, because you want to talk about the dog. So it was just, let's have a coffee, let's catch up. We talked, I don't know, whatever. You know, we're out of COVID. That was enough to talk about. So after I left, I get a call from the accountant who had heard about our breakfast meeting, which was mid-morning, I don't know when. And he said, apparently the client said to him, when the accountant said, why would she do that? And he said, well, we're pretty tight. So I thought, we're not tight at all. I really don't know this person that well. But it's just that perception that the client just, you know, in a nice sarcastic way said, oh, well, bookkeeper and I are very tight, you know, and the accountant was the referral. So it was really nice to hear that that's how he perceives it, you know, in a jokingly way. But the main thing was, his dog died, and it meant a lot to him. Usually does when you live alone. So, yeah,
of course. Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, we're talking about clear expectations for clients, which, you know, is born from our engagement letter and how we deal with them and how we respect our own relationship, you know, with the client. But it's coming back to, I mean, the core of it is building that healthy relationship with the client, as you know, your storytelling and the relationship that you have with your clients, Helen, and the respect that you have for them. So it, you know, although we're, you know, talking about clear expectations, which is, you know, do this, 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 and this, it's all on a piece of paper, but it's the motion that you bring into that and the storytelling. And, you know, one of the things that we also talked about was the sharing your vision. So it's part of building your relationship with your client so that they know, you know, who they're dealing with and the purpose of your business. So, you know, engaging in a conversation with the client about what the purpose of your business is. You know, share your vision, where you're wanting to take the business. Like, know for yourself where you want to, what you are in business for, what is the purpose of your business, and sharing that with your clients. So it's another way of building a relationship which then is going to flow on to them, easier to follow your expectations. And I know, Sharon, that you used to do this with your clients when you're onboarding, sharing the vision of your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, getting them engaged in that vision, go, yes, I want to work with you, so I will do whatever you want me to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you tell it in a really excited sort of way, like I couldn't help myself because I was excited about building a business. And I know, like, having those sort of conversations when you know you're part of something that they, and that's what I did with the potential bookkeepers in the interviews as well. Like, I was pumped about what we were doing, and it came through in every cell in my body when I spoke to people about it. So yeah, when you're in those sort of meetings, I think it's important to share that, because yeah, it's not just it's part of a heartbeat of a growing business, and that's exciting to be a part of, and as a client as well, and know that you're contributing to you're contributing to somebody's growing business, and that they're passionate and they're engaged, and it's like it's exciting, I think. So the other thing I was going to pick up on what Helen said too with managing client expectations is learning to say no. And I know you said that before, and that can be something really hard that we can learn to say no, but we quite often think that we have to say yes no matter what, because especially in the beginning when we're sort of building a business, it's easy. I had a call this morning with someone, and he's got himself into a situation where he's doing a lot of work. He really wanted clients to begin with. And he's, when we all know scope creep is a big enemy for the work that we do. And we say, yes, yes, yes. And then all of a sudden we're doing all these hours, and, we've worked out in the workshop how to work out our hourly rate is how many hours we're doing a year, divided by the hourly rate that we're doing, and it generally adds up to be around that $40, $50 an hour that we're really doing. If you consider how much work we're doing with one client, and it really comes from that place of knowing. I think you've got to learn to understand and prove your value, and be able to express that to a client right at the beginning. And if they're not picking up what you're putting down, you've got to say no. You've got to say no, because people will push, and especially personalities like mine, like high eyes, because we're used to, like, I call it arsy, and I know Helen and I have talked about this before. Like, sometimes you can bluff people, and high Ds do it as well, where they think that they can bluff people. And because bookkeepers are so beautiful and they want to do the right thing, and I certainly felt that with this guy I spoke with this morning, I felt like the client had really pushed him to where he felt like he had to say yes. And all of a sudden he's got all this scope creep, and he's trying to do the right thing. He said, I don't know how to get out of it. I said, you got to ring him and tell him you can't do all this for that amount of money. Like, we figured out that he wasn't making very much money per hour, like when we sat down and figured out the actual hourly rate that he was working on. So I think it's really setting those clear expectations up front, and making sure that you value what you offer, and learn to say, I can't do that. And if you have said yes and you are in that situation, you need to, and this is a strategy I talked with him about, you need to go out and sell your services for, the replacement of that work. So then you can go to them and say, I can't do this any longer. And if they say, I'm sorry, I can't work with you, you've got a backup to be able to say, well, it's just not going to work anymore. So you're not stuck. You're not stuck ever. You just need to go and get some more clients to replace that work, to get rid of them if you're worried about losing them. So, yeah.
It's having those awkward conversations right from the start as well, and not being afraid of having that. Sharon, do you want to talk? I'm about to sneeze.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to add to that was, which is really helpful, as you bring on a new client, make sure, and I know I bat on about this all the time with Pure Bookkeeping. Pure Bookkeeping has a client manual. And it's the number one tool that you need to make sure that every single one of your clients has the client manual filled out. And it doesn't have to happen overnight, but you use that to keep building on, to make sure that when you do go back, and you don't want to record conversations in the client manual. That's where you put all the details of bank accounts, all the information for the client manual. But using something like a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, something like HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or something like, there's a whole bunch you can get for free initially, and at some point it will cost you as you start filling those up. But tracking the conversations you have with people. So if you go out to a prospect meeting and you talk to them about them engaging your services, you can put a little note in your CRM to make sure you can track exactly what you've said to them. It just needs to be bullet point, because sometimes you meet with a lot of people and you forget what you've said. And all that is living in one customer relationship management tool, which is absolute gold, not only just for tracking and knowing what you've said, but when they ring you up in 6 months' time and say, hey, remember, Sharon, that we had that conversation? I'd like to start with you now. What was that? What did I say to him? What was that conversation? You can go back and see what you spoke to them about. So I think, yeah, tracking that information in the customer client relationship management folder, which is part of Pure Bookkeeping, and a CRM is really, really important. That was a long sneeze I covered.
I think I scared myself out.
I had that happen once where a client did come back after, a call came back after that 6 months, and I was like, what is this about? And I just said to him, okay, let's scrap whatever we spoke about, because you and I are not the same people we were 6 months ago. So if you're calling me again now, you need help. So, because I think whatever we quoted, whatever we spoke about, it's all going to change. So I make that clear that, okay, it's a whole new ball game. Start from the beginning. Cut that off at the knees. On something that you talked about 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's a good idea, I think, too. So, yeah, start fresh, right? Yeah, doesn't matter, does it? Like what you said 6 months ago, for sure.
Now, we've done a lot of talking. I'd love to hear from the audience of if they're having any struggles at the moment. Let's start with that. With any clients, any expectations that are happening. Anybody want to come off mute?
Krista Morgan she posted, I love note taking. So this is something I will definitely do. And I do too, Krista. I am a note taker. I love taking detailed notes to make sure, because I've got a brain like a sieve, so I forget stuff that I say. So having those notes there. So I don't know if you want to come off mute, Krista, and have a chat about that.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, I'm definitely a note taker, and I do that for where I do some casual work, some bookkeeping work, just when I chat to their customers, just chasing up money, and they'll say, oh yep, I'll get back to you, or we'll pay it on this date. There's notes in the system that I use for that in that program, and I just pop notes in there. So I guess it's similar, but obviously when I start my own bookkeeping business, absolutely. Even in MyOb, there's the little section where it's notes, and you can just add notes in there as well. So yeah, I definitely think it's and like Helen was saying before about getting to know someone, I think that's really important to remember as well, because everybody's so different. And I think I personally feel like I can tell a lot from someone talking to them, as in verbally, over the phone, but as opposed to text messages, or emails, because you just cannot portray emotion or expression in text or whatever. So having a voice message is better, but even meeting in person, if you can, again, I think that's really important, because you can just see the expression on someone's face, and you get to just have that, that feeling whether someone's holding something back, not saying something, or a little bit nervous, or unsure about things. So I think that'll be something that I definitely will want to do, have that initial prospect meeting in person, and then go away and sort of go over, in an email, like what Helen said. I think that was a really good idea. So I definitely will take that on board too.
Awesome. Thanks, Krista. Jennifer, you're off mute. Did you mean to be off mute to have a conversation?
I have had the opposite experience from everyone. in the situation that I've done bookkeeping for a lot of busy sole traders who sign up for subscription bookkeeping on a monthly rate, and sometimes they pay annually for the monthly subscription, and then they don't answer emails and don't respond and want all of their business to be sorted. So I was just wondering, what would you do in the circumstance that you've already been paid for a service, but you're not really getting a response from clients in time for back?
Yeah, and it would be reviewing your engagement letter and the communication that you've got on there. In your engagement letter, did you have expectations of what they needed to do?
Well, that's the thing. I work in a company where we all do different things, and I have nothing to do with the engagement letters. And sometimes the clients come on board and say they have no idea what they've even signed up for in bookkeeping. And then I'll have to try and explain it to them without having access to the engagement letters. Because
Are you able to get a copy of the engagement letter to find out what is in it? And then it might be a good place to start to find out what's in the engagement letter if they've been set out anything. And then, you know, possibly have that conversation with them that, you know, this is the engagement letter that sets out how we will operate, how we will, you know, work together, review that with them. Otherwise, it is going back to having that awkward conversation that Sharon mentioned earlier as well. Sharon, have you got other comments around how to go back and start that conversation now?
Oh, yes, I do, Jennifer. I would actually have a chat with the accountants because you're kind of Johnny in the middle here. So I kind of say, hey, I really want to get a good outcome for our clients. What's the best way to go about this? We've got an engagement letter, obviously, and if that's confidential, all good. But I want to be able to get, obviously, the outcome for our clients, and it's both your clients. You're working with them, and they want to be seen as doing the right thing. So I'd kind of call them into a meeting and discuss that, the best way forward, and have a few suggestions for them that might work for you. The other thing that it's a bit more tricky, that one, because they aren't yours, like they're not your specific clients. And when you start for yourself, and this might be helpful for other people as well, that got a couple of my clients on here, so they'll know know that this is my my absolute love is video. So you get a lot of really good responses from video. So if I'm not getting responses from people, I love to do like a quick little video. There's a thing called Vidyard, Vidyard, and it's really engaging. Look, I sometimes do videos and send out, and people are telling me they're really, really busy. And I used to use it with a company that I worked with before, but I've used it since I've been coaching. And this particular Vidyard has where you can record your video and you can save it as a GIF into an email. So when they open the email, you're like jumping around it. They can't help themselves but open it. Like, I know that because I've sent out emails and everyone said that how busy they are. And I get, because in video, you can actually see when it comes up, it goes ping, ping, ping. You can see when people have watched it. And if you put a little in the subject, a video just for you, a personalized video just for you, and if you're chasing things like, you know, paperwork or whatever, say something fun. Like there might be something you can say, I hope everything's going all right with what, if you can reference something that's about the kids or about their day, or isn't it, you know, COVID, I don't know, maybe not COVID, but yeah, whatever, something that's kind of personal and fun. And then say, just wanted to touch base to see, I know I've been chasing you for a while by email, just so I do something fun and chase you up to see if you could send that through. Just let me know if you've got this. And you'll see if they've watched the video or not. So it's kind of hard not to respond to something like that. And I know for sure that that does work with other things that I've done. So yeah, getting comfortable on video is a really cool thing. And the way that I did that for a long, long time, every morning I would shoot a video for 1 minute, and I'd talk about my cat and the day and whatever, and just get comfortable. I know you younger ones, it's a little bit easier for you because you do that all the time, but I wasn't comfortable at all with video. So I had to get myself really comfortable. And then I'd get to the stage where I'd do a video and then I'd send it to somebody just to start getting, like a friend or something to begin with, to get comfortable around that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Jennifer, does that help in going back to the engagement letter?
Yeah, definitely.
Good. And having those awkward conversations, and you know, as Sharon had said about valuing ourselves, valuing the service we provide, valuing the work that we do, and not getting tied up in just jumping to what they want us to do and when they want it. And then if you are in the opportunity to that you've got the opportunity to perhaps treat them that they're not an ideal client. So what makes an ideal client? So the criteria that they're showing, which is not responding, not emailing, not answering, not paying, not appreciating, not respecting, then, you know, they're literally not an ideal client. So then, you know, the next version of that is marketing, looking for other ideal clients, identifying what they are, who they are, and marketing to replace them, so that you're not working with people that are constantly late. I mean, there's nothing worse. It really pushes your business behind, really hard to progress or, you know, grow your business if you have got clients like this that are pulling you behind and stretching you. Yeah, so it's an option to look at your ideal client as well. Thanks. Is anyone else wanting to jump off mute to talk about any of their experiences they're having, whether good or bad, about expectations, client expectations? No questions anybody has? Nobody's in a situation at the moment? Leanne, love to hear your comments.
I've got one client that will, you know, I do the BAS because he had his FBT that the ATOs put on it, on the BAS, and so I send it off to him, and then it comes back to me and says, we're not paying the FBT. I mean, how am I supposed to know? Things like that. And then he says, oh, we're not paying it, we're not signing it. So I end up going back to the accountant and saying, well, what's happening with this? And all I get from him is, yeah, I've been instructed not to do it. So I just, you know, where am I? I'm in the middle between the accountant and the client. Nobody told me. And, you know, just things like that I find difficult. And just the tone of the email was like, you should know.
Okay. So is it, you've got your own engagement letter with that client?
Yeah.
So does that engagement letter wouldn't provide that scope then, because you've not been aware of it, so it's not in the engagement letter?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
so it's just referring them back to, you know, well, you know, you're not aware of it, it wasn't in my scope, that's the accountant's scope, you know, refer it back to the accountant.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I sent an email to the accountant and CC'd the client in saying, as I don't do FBT, can you please look at this? Just to let the client know this is not my problem, you know. This particularly difficult client anyway. It doesn't matter what you do, he's going to question it.
Yeah, because it's not part of our scope of what we, you know, should be doing.
Well, let's look at. Yeah. Anyway, that was just one thing I've had recently. But whereas other clients are saying, oh, thank you so much. You know, we wouldn't be where we are unless we had you. You know, and I think, oh, that's good. Somebody appreciates me, so I can't be doing too much wrong.
Yeah,
so that's nice.
Great. And people are providing you with paperwork on time and bank statement balances and, you know, all those.
Still chasing. There's always, you know, the odd bits and pieces that you're chasing. But yeah, it's just a matter of training them, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what we want to do, is train them from the start with our engagement letters and our conversations, and then bring them back into line when they're not, and then moving them on if they just won't behave. You know, you hear of bookkeepers that clients just refuse to pay the superannuation, or, you know, to, you know, have that, even stick with the compliance. So, you know their red flag straight right at the start, that you're not going to, you know, keep those clients. You have a level of duty and a level of care. If you want to see the receipts, then, you know, you request the receipts, and if they're not providing them, then you've got to, you know, find a way to manage that. anything that is not providing you with the right solution, find another way of getting that solution, whether it is, putting them onto, Receipt Bank or, one of the versions, to getting the information when you need it. The same with bank statements, getting the online bank statements when you need it. Find a different solution that's going to work for you as well. There are a lot of tech solutions that will help you out in solving this. It's one of the things when we start looking at your ideal client and you work out what your criteria is, and like if you have D clients, which are, dead, I'd call them dead clients, and you want to either move them up to a B, find ways to do that. So if expectations is one of them, find ways to move them up the scale to become a B client in regard to the expectations. So if it can't be done, if you can't work through the issue, then you know that they're never going to, play the game. So they're not part of the tribe that you want. But in your instance, Leanne, in that particular circumstance, it's back to the accountant and just letting the client know it's not part of my scope.
Can I just add that when I do that initial client meeting and set the expectations, I let the client know that I will be contacting their accountant to touch base, introduce myself, and I also set expectations to a degree with the accountant. So I tell them what I will do, like find out if they prefer to lodge the BAS or we will do it, and I'll tell them how it will be delivered, what we will then expect the lodgement receipt to come back to us so we can say, yes, they didn't forget to lodge it, they did it. So it's just that, yes, you have the conversation with the client, but you need to have it with the accountant. You need the accountant to know, because the accountant could be dealing with bookkeepers that he hears from once every blue moon, isn't really on top of things. There's a lot of that around. And then once you ring them and you say, okay, this is what we do to help you, this is what you can expect from us, end of year journal, send them through, all that is included in my client's price. So I make that clear. The accountant chooses to do all that, that's on them. But that's something that the client already knows that we will provide for them. And I think it's just, having those clear boundaries, and it means we make it clear if we're dealing with certain issues that is micro bookkeeping kind of management with the client, we will CC the accountant in, with reporting and that kind of thing. We let the accountant know that this is the communication. So that in itself, I haven't had that situation there that you said, because I think we've established that from the start. If there is something that the accountant speaks to the client and vice versa, one of them will generally let me know. Had a meeting the other day and I say to the accountant, anything I need to know? No, we talked about personal stuff. So I make it clear, I put it out there and remind them, I need to know some things, so you're not doing something and then finding out, oh, we're not going to do that this month. That's all going to change. And you're backtracking because like probably many people, my clients are on, monthly fees. So there's no hourly. I can't up the hours in one thing. But I say to the client, the more you do to delay us, you will be charged additionally for that. Because if they just follow the whole the way we work and provide what they can, or at least get back to us in a timely manner, we'll just all everything will keep moving. They'll at the end of the day get what they need in a timely manner. The accountant will, or we will, or whichever. I think everyone needs to do that their bit, and that's something that I will explain in that meeting. I will tell the client, and again have that talk with the accountant. And plus, look, it's a good time to where you can't get in front of the accountant and go and meet them. You can at least introduce yourself and your business, tell them how you work, and then from there you get a call from them not long after and like, oh, do you think you could take on someone else? So sometimes it's even before they get to see how you work, but it's just that excuse to ring an accountant. So
no, I mean, this particular accountant, I've known him for years, and I got the client from him. And the client, he doesn't like the accountant. The accountant doesn't like this client, and I'm getting that way too. And yes, and whenever I ring the accountant, he is depressed, basically. He's so flat out. And so you just don't want to push any more buttons. That's what's happening with that one. So it doesn't happen with all the others, so that's good.
Time sometimes for a clean out. And look, I moved on a client yesterday, and great client, provides all the paperwork almost within the first week of the following month of a BAS and everything else. So we had no qualms, pays direct, pays a good fee. I moved him on because I didn't have a connection with him. I'd never felt like, I just didn't, and maybe I just realised I'm a real emotional driven, my ideal client, I have to have that connection. And there were a few things with the accountant that I thought, if I had that relationship and that connection like most of my clients, I wouldn't be having this conversation now with the accountant. So it's sort of, sometimes everything could be great, but we move them on for different reasons, and there was a lot of different reasons, but they were all personal. They were the communication barrier, just some little things that I felt wasn't ideal for me to work with them. So
yeah, no, that's good. It's great that you're understanding that, and you've gone so far in your journey to have the strength and courage and confidence to do that now, and identify them and understand it and know what to do, and have a method of remarketing to replace them if you want to. So just before we head off, and I will get Sharon just in a moment to perhaps just talk about just the mindset around this, just as a final phrase around the mindset of the client expectations. But I'd just love for those on the call today just to pop down what did you love about this particular session? What did you learn? What did you like about this particular session? Was it helpful? That would be awesome. If you could just pop that in the chat box. And so Sharon, just as we're finishing up, I guess it's a good summary of, what we spoke about today. And, yes, we're setting some clear expectations. We're building relationships. But it is around the confidence, isn't it? It's around how you perceive yourself or how you portray yourself, probably more.
Yeah, I reckon anything that's awkward like this around managing client expectations, anything that pushes back is our chance. That's like a little tap on our shoulder for us to step into our own power here. And it's like it takes a lot because we hide from it. We don't want to do that. But I think miraculous things happen when we do step into our own power. And I love this word, so I use it a lot. So to expand your epistemology, so expand your thinking around how you approach this. So as soon as somebody, if they push back, like we've talked about this morning, and you're not sure, that's your chance to book a customer client review and sit down with them and know that a lot of people bluff. A lot of people push back, and they know that they've done it all their life, and they know they get their outcomes when they just push a little bit like that. And this is your turn to call their bluff and book a meeting and sit down and discuss about, okay, this is not working. We need to make sure that this works. What can we do to get the outcome together? And sometimes it takes a lot to gather that strength to do that. But I also think it's our own personal journey where we get to step up. This is our chance to step up and take control about, where we're at with our clients, and know that this is like, we want to amaze our A's and ditch our D's. We want to work with A-class clients. And it was beautiful what Helen just said before, it's just not got the connection. I wouldn't be having the discussion with the accountant if we had that connection, and if it was working, great. It's not working, and you don't need to lose sleep over this kind of stuff. If you go and have a conversation and it's just not working after, having that sort of candid conversation, they're still pushing back, it's time to get rid of them. So, so I think it's a little tap to say, time to step up, get in front of the client, and reset those expectations.
Yeah, no, that's great. We've got some great comments, Jennifer. Interesting to see how other bookkeepers have client relationships. I have a large amount of clients with little or no relationship, little to no client handover. And now I know what questions need to be asked to my employer rather than the client, and what conversations I need to be part of. Yeah, that's great understanding and identifying that. It's really important, which we don't realise how important that relationship is with the client.
Yeah, I want to be in that meeting with you, Jennifer. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Bring that on.
And Krista. It's made me realise that the engagement letter. Oh, sorry, Jennifer, were you going to say something?
It's actually part of why I'm transitioning and still working for that company, but also starting with another company that I won't be working remotely, that I'll be working in the office with, because like as a new bookkeeper who's not been in the industry very long, I realise now that the importance of training and being able to ask questions and actually someone paying attention when I ask the questions, because I notice in Zoom meetings when I'm asking questions about clients to my employer, who is like a very well-trained accountant, they're not listening. So they sometimes will say an answer, I'll just say yes, and then I'll do something and then they'll come back and go, no, this was wrong. But I don't have that in writing, and I can't say, but remember in this Zoom meeting when you said this, because they weren't listening. So now I realize also when it comes to client conversations, the importance of having everything in writing or recorded, because accountability is really important, and you don't want to be stuck being accountable for something in a training period that, you know, may not have been something that, you know, you didn't ask. Like when you're training, rather than people looking at you being like, oh, you're very gung-ho with clients, you just like go straight ahead and do all the reconciliations by yourself without knowing. But sometimes you've had that conversation, you've gotten your answer, but you know, when you're not recording a conversation, or when you're not in a situation where someone's actually paying attention to you, you can't go back to that situation.
Yeah.
So.
Time to start lining up your new business, I reckon.
It's still a learning process, so it's really good.
We're all learning still.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I learned so much from Sharon.
So I learned so much from Katrina and Helen.
I learned so much from all of you.
We're all in it together.
I mean, there's some clients I still haven't met because we haven't had the opportunity, but it's long phone calls with them. And again, it's follow up with an email when we talk business, but it's the long phone call because bring in the business, bring in a bit of personal. And I'm sure when I meet them, like I feel now, I know them so well, you know, so I think you don't always have to meet clients. It's just how you got to make it work for yourself.
Yeah.
But get to know them, definitely get to know them.
Yeah. Awesome. What a great conversation. We started with, you know, expectations building into relationships and confidence. So, yeah, great conversation and lots of great engagement as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. And thanks, Sharon, for being our guest host, and Helen, as usual, your contribution. It's always wonderful.
Good luck with the meeting, Jennifer.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See you.
thanks
Bye.
Katrina. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.